Welcome and thank you for joining me for another coffee with Bridget. Today's coffee is Black and White Cookie, and this is by Brooklyn Bean Roastery. And I've been drinking this for the last few videos in my Do Not Disturb cup. And so we are at fermentation when it comes to the level that we're at. This is the 5th card. 5 is hard. The 5th card in all the tarot deck suites, whatever you want to call them. That's the hardest card. 5 is change. Change is difficult. Change and transformation. So we started off with the creepy crawlies, the Tower card, the Devil card, calcination and dissolution. I said those backwards because I'm dyslexic. Lead and tin. Then we graduated to the Star card, the Tower card is loss of identity. So desire, mind, loss of identity. We've gone on to the Star card, which is hope, self-examination, metacognition, the beginning of gnosis, the desire for more information about ourselves and the universe and the underlying pattern and answers to the universe. Then we moved on to conjunction. And these, like I said, are the domesticated wolf, the Star and the Moon card. Separation and conjunction is the wolf. This is the nature. We are getting to know the nature, our animal nature. And in conjunction, we did shadow work. We owned all the aspects of ourselves that we don't like. We owned our animal nature. We developed the divine feminine. We became receptive. We attracted instead of chased. Now we're at number 5, change, fermentation. After conjunction, which is the most sacred of all the stages, one of the most sacred. It's not the end game goal, but it is one of the most sacred stages. Now we experience ego death, fermentation. Now all that we thought we were is wiped away. It's an existential crisis again. We realize we no longer have to build the tower of identity. This is where we start to build boundaries instead. We learn our limitations. In the Sun card, which is the card for this stage, we see a child, and it takes a childlike mind. It's not innocence. It is taking joy in the small things, finding happiness and bliss in small things. It could be as simple as this amethyst. I find great joy in this amethyst. Holding this amethyst brings to me a great amount of joy, like a child. Children enjoy things for the experience. They're in the now, in the moment. And so part of us has to die in order to go to the final phase of the spiritual path, to get the gold. This is silver. This is Mercury. Mercury is solid at some stages and it is liquid at other stages. So we learn here when to act and when not to act. We learn here when to be adaptable and flexible and when to stand our ground, boundaries. And so it is interesting that boundaries are further along the path. So many people try to do boundaries when they're in the Devil or calcination or dissolution phase. They're like, we need boundaries in order to go forward. Boundaries actually come when you know yourself and what your limits are and what you will accept and what you don't accept. You have to know yourself. And so this is where we establish boundaries. This is where we say, this is me, that is you. We don't disown the other person. We don't hate the other person. We've done the work to where we love ourselves so much that we only see in other people that which we love. We've done so much work that we love other people because we see the best parts of ourselves in them. And we see the parts of ourselves in them. We know where they are on the path. The Moon card illuminated the path. We know the map. We know the framework. We've been in the depths. We've suffered. We've experienced pain. Now we are at the point in fermentation where we have loved so deeply of Venus, that we are Mercury. We are able to Quicksilver. We can think like the other person. We can put ourselves in the other person's shoes. We can perceive the other person on a level that other people can't, because we see clearly. We see ourselves clearly and we see them clearly. We have boundaries. At this stage, triggers are not a thing. You have accepted so much that triggers are not a thing. You don't get triggered. Criticism is kind of laughable because you're just like, they're projecting, that's them. This is where you own the fact that most people react to you based on their own inner world. And if they react to you poorly, that means their inner world is messed up. And they deserve your sympathy. Doesn't mean your kindness, but your sympathy. So you can look at an ignorant person, someone who's in darkness, someone who's in the first phases, and you say, I love you because I have been there. I have walked that path. There is hope. But you don't own it. You don't try to fix them. You don't try to change them. You don't try to build a tower. You simply let it be. This is the point where you start to exist. Up until now, you were trying, you were struggling, you were challenged. But at this point, you simply learn to exist. You embrace reality. You embrace the nature, the darkness, and the light. You own your inner dark, and you own your light. And as a result, you become more light. Again, when the sun illuminates the moon fully, the night is illuminated. You can see there's not so much shadows. So fermentation is a beautiful phase, in the process of fermentation when it comes to grapes and wine. Yeast, a foreign element, other people's opinions, is added to the grapes to ferment them, to make them sweeter. In a way, the grape dies and becomes resurrected as a spirit, which we'll get to in the next phase. So fermentation is where everything's bubbling under the surface. We've gone through such transformation that everything's bubbling. It's in the dark that fermentation happens. That flavor and good high spirits is developed. So again, it's a dark phase. It's a difficult phase. 5 is change. 5 is difficulty. Mercury is not the easiest. We overthink. We don't think enough. We don't think things through. Mercury is a tough metal, and the sun is actually, achieving that level where you know who you are and what, other people are, and you can identify where the energy is coming from. It's difficult, but it is a beautiful phase. Fermentation is gorgeous. Not many people get here, and this is a rare phase. So if you relate to this phase, if you are the phase where you're like, I've seen enough, I've done enough, I know myself enough that I'm, I don't have to rebuild the tower. I don't have to accomplish things. I don't feel driven to prove myself to others. Then you've come a long way, my friend. And you are a very rare person. When you don't have that defensiveness, the tower, when you have a wall and you can look over the wall at the other person and say, I understand you, it's powerful. Fermentation's powerful stage. It is a stage of understanding. It is not a stage of defensiveness. And when it comes to the animal phases or the phases of the spiritual path, this is a domesticated dog. The mind is following you. Your mind is doing what you want it to. The mind is not controlling itself. You're no longer controlled by your subconscious urges. You are in control of your life. You're in control of your feelings. You're in control of your emotions. Not to the point where you don't feel them, but when they come up, you can say, I'm happy, and you let it go. When you're sad, you can say, I'm sad, and this is why, and you let it go. Because it's just a phase, like the moon, it's going to pass. It's hard to learn to let go of the good and the bad, but everything's temporary. And this is a stage where everything's temporary. And it gives you both hope, love, acceptance, and understanding. So fermentation is a powerful stage if you can reach it. Very few do. Very few want to let the ego go, want to let the version of themselves that they feel they have to uphold go, and realize they are everything. and nothing at once.